Call to order the Marshall City Council regular meeting for January 5th, 2026. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Wolfersberger.
Here.
Member Cheney Huggett.
Here.
Member Gates.
Here.
Member Hackworth. Here. Member Skibby.
Here.
Member Traver. Here. And Member Underhill.
Here.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'd ask council to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. With that, we move to our approval agenda. Item 6 is our public comment on agenda items. Item 7 is our consent agenda. We have no, number 8, we have no presentations or recognitions. We have number 9, informational item for 2025 action plan update. Number 10, we have 5 public hearings. Resolution 2025-31, Oprah District Establishment for 211 and 213 East Michigan Avenue. 10B is Resolution 2025-32, Brownfield Plan Request for 211 and 213 East Michigan Avenue. 10C is Special Land Use Application for number 25.02A for 775 Industrial Road. 10D is Resolution 2025-33, which is Oprah District Establishment for 201 and 203 West Michigan Avenue. And 10E is Ordinance 2025-5, Chapter 52, Sanitary Sewer Ordinance Updates. Number 11, we have no old business. Number 12, reports and recommendations. 12A is Industrial Pretreatment Program Authorization. 12B is Resolution number 2026-1, Wastewater Industrial Pretreatment Program Fees. 12C is Resolution 2025-43, Oprah Certificate Application Set a Public Hearing for 211, 213 East Michigan Avenue. And 12D is Oprah Certificate Application Set a Public Hearing for 201 and 203 West Michigan Avenue. We have no appointments or elections. Item 14 is public comment on non-agenda items. Item 15 is council and manager communications. Item 16 is our adjournment. I would seek a motion regarding the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Support. I have a motion and support. And that is a voice vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. That brings us to public comment on agenda items. Persons addressing City Council are required to give their name and address for the record when called upon by the mayor. Members of the public shall be limited to speaking for a maximum of 3 minutes. Comments shall address agenda item topics only. Public hearing items should be addressed during public hearing portion, item number 10 of the meeting agenda. Non-agenda items shall be addressed during the public comment non-agenda items, item 14 portion of the meeting agenda. As a note to everyone who's here, there is nothing on our agenda even remotely related to the Marshall Technology and Energy Center. Any comments regarding the data center will need to be made in item 14.
We're here for you, though.
Thank you. With that, is there anyone wishing to address council this evening on agenda items? Yes, ma'am.
Lynn Slight, City of Marshall. I'm speaking on Agenda 10E.
That is a public hearing, and you would speak during that public hearing on that item.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, it does say on 12A, Industrial Pretreatment Program, just
Oh.
to clarify.
That wasn't the one that she said she was speaking on?
12A.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. That's probably not going to work for what I have written down, though.
You're free to speak during 10E?
Can I speak during the other?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Anyone wishing to address council on agenda items?
Hello. All right. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Casey Morris. I live at 11415 18 and a half Mile Road in Eckford Township. Funny thing is I have less say because I don't live in the city of Marshall and therefore do not have the opportunity to vote or for the city council or be part of boards appointed by such, even though you are making decisions for where I live. The proposed data center and IPP would be located, concerning the IPP, would be located next to my home. I'm here tonight because I'm just deeply concerned about moving forward with the proposed ordinance, and the industrial pretreatment program as it's currently presented. This ordinance may sound administrative, but in reality, it opens the door to increased industrial discharge through our wastewater treatment system, discharge that would be tied to large facilities like the Ford battery plant and the proposed data center. Once these limits are set, they are extremely difficult to reverse. As a homeowner living next to the proposed site and a mother of 4 children growing up in this community, I am worried about long-term impacts that go far beyond today's promises, including water pollution, groundwater contamination, increased infrastructure strain, noise, heat, and loss of property value. These are not hypothetical concerns. They are well-documented risks countrywide associated with data centers and industrial scale facilities. I'm especially troubled that this public hearing also serves as the hearing for the IPP under the MPDES permit, and this process moved forward quietly over the holidays. Residents deserve transparency. I personally requested this at a previous meeting. We need time to review the details and a meaningful opportunity to ask questions before decisions like this are made. Once pollution is permitted, it becomes legal pollution. And once it's legal, the burden falls on residents, not industry, to live with the consequences. I'm asking the council to slow this process down, separate the ordinance update from the IPP approval, and ensure that no additional industrial capacity, especially a data center, is approved without full environmental review. Clear protections for nearby residents and a true public engagement. Please prioritize the health of our water, our river, and the people who live here over speed and convenience. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Could I get, excuse me. Could we get clarification? I know Director Davenport is here. Would the MTech be subject to the IPP?
Did you hear the question?
Can you repeat?
Would the MTech be subject to the IPP? Would it qualify under that program?
MTech likely would be.
Okay.
I do not have numbers on how much wastewater they would discharge to our system.
Right.
And that, along with some other components, would determine whether they were subject to our IPP.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else wishing to address council this evening on agenda items? Yes, sir.
I'm not speaking about data centers. Barry Wynn Adams, 622 West Green Street. Following the previous speaker, you guys need to be thinking about what's going on with this stuff. Now, is this just, again, business as usual, trying to slip it under the rug so we don't notice it? You know, doing this stuff over the holidays and making it confusing about when public comment time is actually going to be concerning the issue. But this comes down to basic aspects of the laws of physics and the laws of nature. And entropy is a one-way road. And when you start doing these incremental lessening of restrictions to allow toxic release into the open environment, again, there are no takebacks. And then when what is supposed to be at a controlled and regulated release suddenly falls prey to the law of entropy, and there is a catastrophic accident with a huge release, then you've created more problems than you ever thought you were going to be able to fix. So, I mean, it's nice to think that, you know, we can have people come in and show us pretty pictures of nicely drawn buildings and that it's going to create a new Jetsons reality for us where we just have to speak and the computer system does everything for us. We've got to grow up. We got to get out into the living world, the real world, and protect it, and not, you know, we're trading the inanimate pseudo-reality of the internet for our real reality. And I'd rather see, you know, the deer and the possums and the raccoons and the birds and, you know, have you ever gone down to the wetlands down there? It's a beautiful thing. This is what we need to preserve. And I guess our generation has to step up because the youngest generations right now are so totally programmed and indoctrinated into their smart screens that it's going to be a hard row to hoe to change their minds. So we've got to do it. We've got to step up. You see all these people here tonight? It's not just me tonight. These people are here for a reason. We'll see how many are for what you're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address council this evening on agenda topics?
Rebecca Sebring, Fredonia Township. I'm not down with IPP. You're gonna rezone that so you can toxify it, that's great. And the sewer water and all that stuff, that's kind of crazy. Isn't it gonna cost us $10,000 every 30 days under this construction on that? Anyways, you know, my dad was in this wastewater treatment plant for many years. Did you know that most data centers are outdated within 3 to 5 years? Weren't you gonna get your electrical lines in 4
Could you
years?
keep your comments to the IPP, please?
Oh, I just can't stand it. Okay, thanks for nothing.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address council this evening on agenda topics? Yes, sir.
Regis Klingler, 348 Butler Court in Marshall. Just want to comment, you sure like to pack a lot into a meeting with a lot of interest from a lot of people. There was one thing that said something about a January 10th meeting and that there was a date going to be established. There's nothing on the city website about that meeting agenda or schedule or anything. I hope that is rectified tonight and that will be put out on the agenda. I just want to clarify the special land use permit for Tiger Towing. Is that a public hearing tonight, or is that just, it is a public hearing? It wasn't obvious in the agenda to me. The other thing I want to address is the IPP, that this is going to be the only really public hearing for that, and the sanitary ordinance. In that IPP, there is a list of pollutants of concern. Lithium is on that list. Unfortunately, it is not on a list for any limits, local limits by Marshall, and it's not in any NPDES document either. There's nothing on that pollution of concern list about NMP, the solvent that the Ford company is going to use in their process. That should be addressed in that before anything goes forward, because there are chances of spills, even unintentional discharges to the wastewater treatment that I would think the city would be concerned about. If I'm wrong, let me know. Another thing is section 5217 C2. The baseline monitoring report extends to 180 days from 90 days for new sources and significant industrial users. I think that's a wrong direction. That means up to 6 months could go by before we even really know that they're out of compliance with the limits. I think that's a major problem. The local limits set for numerous things, COD, BOD, total solids, ammonia, phosphorus, and FOG are very high. The existing limits, the past future, way below that. Why are they set so high? I question those limits. I think they should be set lower. It's not really encouraging the history of Ford on the construction phase of this and their operation of other plants in the past. I think they need to be closely monitored, and the city needs to do some more homework, and I think the IPP needs to be revised before it is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address council on agenda topics? Yes, ma'am.
Linda Smoot, E-Drive South, Marshall, Michigan, Fredonia Township. So I'm here to address the proposed industrial pretreatment program. So I hope I'm speaking at the appropriate time. So that's an IPP. I wasn't 100% sure exactly what it was, but when I first started investigating. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, an industrial pretreatment program exists, or IPP exists for one core purpose: to prevent harmful industrial substances from entering our wastewater system. These can damage infrastructure and ultimately contaminate the environment. So protecting us, because none of us wants that, to protect from this, protection's achieved through regulation, permitting, and consistent monitoring. Those are the tools we have. According to City of Marshall's IPP, substances can enter the wastewater treatment plant by two pathways. Water-soluble contaminants, so stuff that dissolves in water, can pass through the plant and are discharged directly into the Kalamazoo River. So that means whatever's in there is going to enter our drinking water and our ecosystem and ultimately us. The other way that we deal with non-water soluble contaminants, stuff that doesn't dissolve in water, this is sewer sludge, and it's part of our wastewater biosolids. This is collected and used as fertilizer, and then is spread on fields. It then can enter, whatever's in there, can enter into the animals that eat it, and then eventually us. So essentially, monitoring is the only safeguard, and I believe the current plan is insufficient. So the only way to know whether pollutants are entering the river or the biosolids applied to farmland is through frequent testing and monitoring. However, the current proposal states that, and I'm quoting section 5.1.1b, that significant industrial users will be inspected and sampled only once per year, and that the sludge control plan will be evaluated every 2 years. This schedule is far below the standard used in many comparable municipal IPP programs, which require sampling and analysis on a monthly or at minimum quarterly basis. Once pollutants are released into the environment, they cannot be reclaimed. We can't pull them back out of the river. We can't get them back out of our food chain. Once they're in, they're in. Emerging industrial chemicals pose long-term risks to us, and they run the risk of bioaccumulation. They accumulate as they go up the food chain. Cows eat them, we eat the cows, they go up, and they go up for the wildlife as well. Wow. So essentially, to me, clean, safe water is not a left issue or right issue. It's not a us issue or a them issue. It is shared public good. There's no downside to increasing the monitoring frequency of wastewater, but there is imminent risk if we don't.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address council this evening on agenda items? Yes, ma'am.
I was confused because I thought that these issues were you talked about with the ordinance, since there's a table on page 20 of the ordinance that covers this, but is now when we want to talk about the IPP?
Now is public
Hours?
comment on item
Oh,
12A.
okay then, okay then. My name is Victoria McCaffrey, and I'm a resident of Marshall Township. Okay. So I'm going to be talking with you about the local limits for discharge that are in both the IPP and in the Marshall Ordinance 2025-5. Although both this IPP permit application and the ordinance purport to come from the city of Marshall, none of the proposed limits for pollutants of concern were calculated by our wastewater treatment personnel or by any other city employee or representative. Instead, they were calculated by Trevin Winston, who is an engineer for Stantec in Richmond, Virginia, who represents Ford. He was assisted by Roger Fain, who is the Eagle statewide IPP coordinator, who's located in the Metro Detroit area. Given the goals and perspectives of these gentlemen, it's not surprising that many of the local limit values are extremely high. In fact, they often exceed those from much larger and more industrialized cities. And I have a table that I've given you to let you see that comparison of values. So I've chosen a range of cities with different populations across Michigan. Marshall's proposed limit is on the left-hand side, and I'm showing here the chemical oxygen demand, the biochemical oxygen demand, the total suspended solids, ammonia, phosphorus, and fat, oil, and grease. Sorry about that. So let's look at Ann Arbor, which is the 5th largest city in Michigan. Population of 120,000 on the census, but over 300,000 if you include University of Michigan. The biochemical oxygen demand, to take just one of these issues, is 1,000 milligrams per liter. Marshall's proposed limit is 778, nearly 80% higher than the city of Ann Arbor. The ammonia nitrogen is more than 2 times higher. Fats and phosphorus are 50% higher. The fats, oils, and grease and the total suspended solids are about equal to this population. There's 50 times Marshall. Now you look at Kalamazoo, whose population is about 75,000, Bay City, whose population is about 32,000, and Ludington, whose population is 7,600, which is closest to us. All of them have limits for these different pollutant classes that are substantially lower by 4 to 10 times than the values that are given by Marshall. And why is that? It's because the people who made up these limits do not represent us. They represent Ford entirely. And that's why you have these limits. Now, I want you to notice when you look at Bay City and Ludington, they have 2 values listed with theirs, and this is a very smart thing for you to be doing too. So the lower limit is what's called the general limit. If you're using that little amount of material and putting that into the water stream, there's no money that needs to be paid for it. But there is a surcharge that's applied for industrial users who exceed this up to the final limit. And if you look at the final limits, they're very similar to the Ann Arbor values. Ann Arbor values are final limits as well. Okay? Can I have just maybe another half a minute?
I'm sorry, but we've got quite a crowd tonight.
So busy here.
I just want to say to you that these limits that are a range are a much smarter way to do things, because they put in an extra amount of surcharge that is done by the pound,
Thank you, ma'am.
and it encourages people to have environmental stewardship.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to address council this evening on agenda topics? We will have order. Yes, ma'am.
Julie Bryant, Squaw Creek, Marshall. Lithium. Lithium is identified as a pollutant of concern in the Industrial Pretreatment Program, IPP. Although calculations for health-based and local limits have already been completed, lithium is not currently listed in the summary table of the IPP or Ordinance 2025-5, meaning it is not officially regulated. Lithium is also a potent medication used to treat bipolar disorder and a major depressive disorder. It has a very narrow therapeutic range, 4 to 8 milligrams in blood. Concentrations above this can cause serious health effects, including thyroid and kidney damage and death. Routine blood testing for lithium is uncommon unless a person is prescribed the drug. Because of these significant health risks, lithium should be regulated under both the IPP and the city ordinance. While the IPP calculated a local limit of 9.29 milligram, this value may not reflect more conservative health-based approaches. Notably, the city of Kalamazoo uses stricter limit of 2.4 mg, which is recommended as the appropriate standard to adopt for protecting community health and safety. You guys are wrong on all of this, and you know it.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to address council on agenda items? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Council. Kelly Isaac, 321 North Liberty. I'm going to speak on hexavalent chromium or chromium-6. Chromium exists in different forms with different health effects. Chromium-3 is an essential dietary nutrient present in most multivitamin supplements, but can cause health problems at high levels. And for the record, we're speaking on all these different things. In contrast, chromium-6 is extremely dangerous, one of the most potent toxins and carcinogens linked to multiple cancers, organ system damage, and birth defects. Currently, the Industrial Pretreatment Program, IPP, and city ordinance regulate total chromium with a proposed local limit of 1.09 milligrams per liter. This approach is inadequate when chromium-6 may be present, since even small amounts can pose serious health risks. Chromium-6 is likely to be used at the Ford Blue Oval plant for lithium battery recycling and would almost certainly be used in cooling systems at a large data center if built in Marshall. Although the IPP has already calculated a specific local limit for chromium,